Want to share with you my experience on the first assessment center that I went to, and I'm gonna share the story with you. It's kind of funny now looking back on it because it, it's just surreal because a couple of years ago I was struggling to get onto a grad scheme, and I was going to these assessment centers and I was brutally getting rejected, like I'm going to tell you in a minute, in this story. And now, I'm very grateful that I'm on the graduate scheme of my choice. Actually in London at the moment. You can see the London skyline behind me. I'm currently traveling for work. So this is some of the perks with my graduate scheme. They move me about and they put me up in hotels and stuff, which is really nice. Some graduate schemes offer that, some don't. But yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, then definitely look into graduate schemes. But yeah, so going back to the first assessment center, it was absolutely brutal. And I want to talk you through the different things that I faced and I felt. And hopefully, this should give you motivation if you're struggling to get through the grad scheme process, or you're failing at a lot of the stuff. Trust me, I have failed too much with grad schemes. That's how I figured out how to get past these things, and that's why I made a course so I could teach that to average people like you and me. um, because it's all good if you're a high flyer, you're academically very good, your family is in the corporate world, they can pass those things down onto you how to act and behave in a certain way. But if you're an average person like me and come from a humble background, you don't know how to act in these situations, especially the assessment centers, because they're just designed to be very, corporate-y, and they want you to act a certain way. You've got to fake it a little bit, but also be yourself at the same time. You've got to be confident, all those things. Anyway, so taking you back to the assessment center, applied to loads and loads of graduate schemes, and most of them I was failing at the test stage, but one of them I actually got to the assessment center. Now, I can say the name of the graduate scheme. It was the Civil Service Fast Stream, which is basically the civil service, the government, that kind of thing. And they called me to an assessment center. I had passed the test interview, I had passed, so they called me to the assessment center. They paid for my travel, paid for my hotel, called me to Newcastle, which is a city in the north of London, city in the north of the UK. So got me a ticket from West Yorkshire, from where I live, all the way up to Newcastle. Stayed there in a hotel, very nice. Now, when I got to the assessment centre, the first thing that I started to see were other candidates. So I was like, oh wow, there's quite a lot of people. So a lot of people have got a chance. So I started speaking like you do with the other candidates, getting to know them better, and before you know it, it almost seemed like we were all friends. We were talking about football and side things and hobbies and all that kind of stuff. And that's the first thing I picked up on, and the first mistake I made. That when you go into a place like this, no one is really your friend, right? Now, this kind of it just doesn't sound very nice, but it is the truth, right? I'm sure those people were very lovely. They were very nice people. I've got nothing against them personally, but they weren't there to be my friend, and they certainly weren't there to let me get the job because they wanted the job. So you fall into this weird fakery where you're being nice on the face of it, but when it comes to the actual tasks, and I'll speak about that in a second, the group task. When it comes to these tasks, you're in it for yourself, and that's fine. That's justified. But back then, I was quite naive, and I was very new to this whole graduate stuff, graduate scheme stuff. And yeah, so we started talking, started becoming friends, and all of that. The vibe was good. It was good. We're going to go into this graduate scheme. We're all going to do well. Blah 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 blah. Now these same people that were talking about football, talking about hobbies, very nice to your face, saying yeah, we're all going to get on this graduate scheme. As soon as they were put in a group with me to do the group exercise, which is a very important part of the assessment center, they absolutely turned into these monsters. And I still remember to this day when. So basically, the exercise was each. There was about 6 people in the group, and each person was given a different proposal, right? So it's a proposal, and we need to read that proposal, and we need to fight for that proposal. And as a team, collectively, we need to come up with one proposal that we're going to use, right? So we select one proposal, and that's the proposal that we give to the higher ups, right? So this is what we've decided. All 6 of us unanimously agree that we should go with proposal 2. Basically, that was the task. Now, obviously, to get to that point, you've got to argue your case, right? Why my proposal is the best, why we should go with my proposal and not yours. So it was one of those tasks, and I don't like those tasks. I just feel as though they're not, I just don't agree with them, but that's the way they want to run the grad schemes, that's the way they run them. But yeah, that was a task, right? Now you can imagine what kind of problems that can cause. Now, here's the thing, this is funny, right? You're going to laugh at this because I was so stupid. Essentially what they had done is they had basically given us a piece of paper on which they had written which proposal that we need to fight for. Now there were 2 proposals that had similar titles, right? They had one same word in both those proposals, right? They were similar, but obviously there were 2 different proposals. Now the brochure that they had given us with all the 6 proposals on, right, that was the same for everyone. So we had to find our proposal, read it, come up with the notes, and then kind of fight for that proposal. I was so stupid, and you can see, this is what I'm telling you, that these things happen in the assessment center, and you've just got to remember that it's okay, it's fine, it happens. I've gone through these things as well, and if I can sit here now and say I've got multiple offers back from graduate schemes, I've got to that point, that's now. But I didn't start off like that, right? So if you're going through stuff like this as well, just understand it's completely normal. Use it as a learning curve. Basically what happened was they had given me a proposal which was similar to another proposal, the title was similar. Me being me, I looked at the sheet. It had 3 proposals written on the front of it, and then the other 3 were on the back. I'm there looking at the second proposal, and that was not my proposal that they had given on the little sheet to me, right? That was not my proposal, that was somebody else's. But because it had similar wording, it had a similar title to the proposal I was supposed to fight for, I didn't even bother looking on the other side of the sheet, and I was like, oh yeah, that must be my proposal, because it's not exactly the same, but that must be my proposal. So I started coming up with all the notes and all my arguments for that proposal, and then right at the last 10 seconds they were like, okay, there's a minute left, get your points ready, we're gonna have an argument, we're gonna have a debate. I just turned around the sheet just to have a look. In the last 10 seconds I was like, yeah, I've got my notes, I've got my arguments, I'm gonna smash this. Turned it around and I was like, hang on a minute, I literally saw the exact text for my proposal on the other side of the sheet. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. So basically I had written down all the I had read the wrong proposal basically, and I was ready to fight for somebody else's proposal rather than mine. Mine was on the other sheet. I just didn't even bother to turn it around and check, because I had seen a similar title on the first sheet, and I was like, yeah, we've got 20 minutes. I need to rush. So that's the other thing I want to talk about, and I want to let you know, is that you're going to be in a time pressure situation. And I was under the cosh, right? I was like, we've only got 20 minutes. We need to come up with this. So I didn't even bother checking the other side. My mistake, but again, something that you can learn from, right? Don't come under pressure. Take it easy. Relax. It'll be all right. But I did take pressure, and I had missed that. Now, it's time to present. Well, what am I going to say? Because I've literally written down all these arguments for somebody else's proposal. And that person was sat across me. So that person started speaking and saying, oh, I think we should go with this proposal. And that was the proposal that I had written all the notes for. Like, oh dear, I've really, really messed up. So this guy was the one who was supposed to have that proposal, and he's there now talking about it. And I haven't even written anything to do with my proposal, because I didn't even look on the other side of the sheet and find it. So yeah, I was just there like, shit, I'm in trouble. So I'm there while the others are talking, I'm there scribbling down some notes for my proposal. I'm trying to read it while the others are talking. And it was just an absolute mess, right? So I had absolutely failed that. Now, that thing aside, the other thing I noticed was, even when I finally came up with some notes, some broken half notes where I could kind of give my proposal a chance. Nobody allowed me to talk. Nobody even gave me the chance, right? They were very, very ruthless. These same people that were like very nice to my face, talking about football, talking about hobbies, very motivating, acting like they're my friends. They were absolutely grilling me apart. They were like, well, why would you go for that? Because we've already got an option here. And they absolutely obliterated me. And yeah, that was a very, very tough experience. So the first thing was I was so naive and stupid. I didn't even I came under pressure in that time situation, right? I didn't even read the other side of the story. The other thing was when I did finally get my feet running and I got my proposal and I started fighting for it, the other guys didn't even give me a chance. They were talking over me. When they did give me a chance, they would dismiss my ideas really quickly. And I didn't even have the emotional intelligence to kind of back myself up. So yeah, that was the second thing. I got a rude awakening with that. I was like, wow, I really need to work on my interpersonal skills because I am just getting stepped and walked all over the place. Well, lo and behold, I obviously wasn't going to pass that. So I kind of tried to put that behind me and then move on to the next parts of the assessment center. So we had the presentation exercise. I felt as though I did all right on that, even though I stumbled on a lot of questions that were asked for me, because that's the hardest bit of the presentation. Presenting is kind of the easy bit, or it can be difficult as well depending on what type of person you are. But for me, I find that okay. It's the questions that you get back and you have like literally 3 minutes to answer each question or whatever minutes they give you. That is the hard part, and I did struggle with that. Then the other thing was like a case study. So they basically gave you 2 to 3 different reports and they wanted you to craft an email or a report and summarize everything that you've read in the emails. That was like a 20-minute exercise, but there was too much information in that one and it was supposed to be like that. So you had to kind of work under pressure, take out all the best bits, summarize it, put it in an email, and then that's that. I felt as though I did okay on that, even though, again, I missed bits and bats out. But I feel as though that's normal when you're under... They only give you a small amount of time and they expect you not to finish the task, but they want to see how well you did. Now, this is where it really, really gets ugly. So, I've basically gone through this first assessment center. I'm like, bloody hell, I'm absolutely drained. Like, I've gone through all of this shit. And, some things I did all right on, some things I just really messed up. Assessed the group stage, the group thing, task, absolutely messed that up. I knew that from the start. When I got out of the assessment center, I went towards the train station, sat in my train. I'm like, well, I just hope I can get some sort of positive news. I mean, I wasn't expecting it, but, I was just like, I'll wait a few days and I'll at least hear something back. Soon as I sat on the train, 5 minutes into the journey, like literally 5 minutes after I sat on the train, I got an email saying I failed. So 5 minutes. It didn't even take them 5 minutes to tell me, you're basically shit, you failed. And I was just like, what on earth? Like, that is brutal. That is brutal. So, what I'm trying to say is that assessment center was really, really brutal. That was my first experience of an assessment center. And so what I'm saying to you now is you might have a similar experience. I know some people might have had a similar experience to me as well, might have had a worse experience to me. I can't speak for everybody, but what I can say is that, look, I've gone through that. I've gone through lots of failures with that. That's just one assessment center. I went through a few more. It was a similar sort of story. I was gradually getting a little bit better, but it was a similar story. The task was an absolute bummer for me. I hated that. And then some grad schemes I just failed at the test. Some grad schemes I failed at the interview. But yeah, we all go through failures, right? You've just got to keep going. You've got to keep going. Now, the problem that I made was I did quite a few of them in that first year when I graduated, and then I just gave up. Because I didn't get anything, I just gave up. I was like, this is a load of shit. I'm just going to go and try and get a grad job, which I did, right? I got into a grad job, and that graduate job was was good. I mean, I had gone to the same place where I had done my internships, so I had a bit of an advantage. That's why I got the graduate job, but I probably wouldn't have got that as well if I didn't have the internship experience there. But yeah, it took me a good few years after again and again trying again and again. I kind of gave up on the first year because I was on a grad job. I was like, well, whatever. But the next year, I was like, you know what? I actually do want to get onto a graduate scheme. The higher paid, I want more pay. I want the better opportunity to like move up. I want to expand my network. I want to do some traveling. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start applying again. And then the second year that I started applying, so the first year I obviously missed, and the second year, year two of being graduated, basically started applying again. I got a few stages further in some graduate schemes, but again, it was the same story. Third year, same thing. And then in the fourth year, that's when I really got fed up. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do everything and anything I can, right? There's lots of different strategies that I started using. I started reading more, started researching interview questions and all of this stuff, asking past graduates, all that stuff. And then I really, really made it happen. And lo and behold, the fourth year is where I actually got multiple graduate schemes that gave me an offer. And I chose this one that I'm currently on now. So it just shows you that I went from being rejected within the first 5 minutes of sitting on the train back from the assessment center. Like, I didn't even, I was expecting to get home at least, and then the next day receive an email. They didn't even waste no time. They were like, yeah, this guy's probably the shittest there. Send him an email now. And I just felt really bad. I just felt like a failure. But like I said, you might be in a similar situation. Lots of people might go through a similar situation. Just remember, do not give up. Keep going. And always, always ask for feedback. Because yes, they did reject me, but I did ask them for feedback. I was like, well, yeah, if you're going to reject me, then give me some feedback. And they did give some really good feedback, by the way. So it was a win-win for me, to be honest. Because again, like I said, first time I went into an assessment center, I didn't even know what to expect. And then secondly, I got feedback off them, which was quite in-depth. And one of those was just the group exercise. There was lots of things in there which I needed to improve, which I then ended up improving by the fourth year. So yeah, that is my experience from the first assessment center. Sorry, it's a bit all over the place, but hopefully that gives you some motivation that I just started off right at the bottom as well. And I am sure that anybody who's watching this video probably won't make the same mistakes as me. You're probably a lot more better than me. So if I can do it, you definitely can. So with that being said, do not be scared of assessment centers. Yes, they are nervy, but if you know what you're doing, you will be fine. You will be fine. And relax, take it easy. Don't come under pressure. That's the worst thing that you can do. And always, always be confident. If you need any help with getting onto a graduate scheme, you want to fast track your progress, you can check out my premium course in the description below. I've laid out everything in there step by step, everything that I've learned, everything that I went through. And I basically hold your hand and give you all the stuff that you need to do to pass through each stage of the recruitment process. And if you've gone through a few of these assessment centers or these graduate recruitment cycles, and you need some specific help, I also offer one-to-one coaching as well. So just check it out in the link in the description below. Let's see if I can help you guys out. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.